Hi everybody, this is a response to anubis2814, who is a YouTuber who I quite enjoy. I quite enjoy a lot of his videos, and he recently did one where he was talking about restoring the feel of YouTube atheism and so on and so forth, and he brought up some interesting points that I think I agree with a lot of them. I think his point about the 10-minute format was the point he wanted to drill home the most. And in that YouTube used to have a 10-minute limit on videos, so you had to keep your videos 10 minutes or less, otherwise you're going to have to separate them into parts, which is sometimes a better way to actually digest a long series. If it's a long topic you're discussing, sometimes doing it in 10-minute bits is good. And I think I agree with his point there. I think if you're making something very professional with lots of a very professional quality production, you can perhaps get away with going a bit longer, doing slightly longer videos, because I think people are a bit more willing to watch something with nice professional production for a bit more than 10 minutes. If it's just someone yammering at their camera like I'm doing right now, more than 10 minutes is pushing it a bit, really. And I'm guilty of this. I've gone over the 10-minute mark more than a couple of times. So I think the point he was making, he wasn't saying that they should bring this regulation back, more that people should self-regulate. People should look at their videos and make sure they're just keeping it under 10 minutes. And he also gives a list in the video of recommended times for recommended types of videos. And I think a lot of these videos that are actually longer than 10 minutes really only have about 10 minutes worth of information. It's just splattered and spread very thinly across, with lots of waffle, lots of in-between jibber-jabber that could be cut down nicely, edited down and sized down to about 10 minutes. I think could be good. So that's the main point. The other point he made was shout-outs. I think I agree with this for the reason I really think any kind of community on the internet needs new blood to keep it going. It needs new people, it needs neophytes. Needs people to keep coming in and giving fresh ideas, fresh perspectives, fresh ways, or even fresh ways of presenting the same ideas would be good. So I think shout-outs are good. I've got 3 little ducks at the moment. I'm on 222 subscribers. I decided when I get to 300 I will start. I think that would be a reasonable size enough to start maybe shouting out some smaller channels, especially seeing as I've subscribed to a couple of channels recently that have less than 100 subs, and they're actually very good channels for less than 100. They should be certainly at least above the 100 mark, I think, by now. So I totally agree with the shout-outs idea, and partly, controversial. I know I've slagged these guys off before, but something I would like to see particularly in the YouTube atheist community is I would like to see people like the Amazing Atheist, Pat Condell and Thunderfoot surpassed. I would like them to stop being the biggest 3, really. I'd like to see some other YouTubers overtake them. I don't think I'm in any danger of doing that anytime soon, but I think there are much better content creators out there that I think I would like to see them being more brought to the forefront of this, because especially with those 3 guys, they've moved very far away from what originally made them interesting to the atheist community. The Amazing Atheist, despite having the name atheist in his name, doesn't really do all that many videos on the subject. Add to that the fact he's a fucking asshole. You've got good reason. That's one of the reasons why I want him to be surpassed. Pat Condell, originally seemed to get a lot of attention by being an atheist, but really he's moved much more towards just being an advocate for hard right politics, and pretty obviously is something of a racist. So for that reason, obviously, I'd like to see he's not really doing atheist videos anymore. He's just doing hard right political videos that may cross over a little bit when he references Islam, but even then, nothing like as much as actually should. The references he makes to Islam are largely political; they're not theological in any way. Then of course you've got Thunderfoot now, who is just going on and on and on about feminism. Now he's just, in a manner I find a bit embarrassing. Thunderfoot is not a sexual scientist. He's a scientist. He's not someone who really understands gender issues at all. And he's clearly just bitching about his own personal gripes with sites like Free Thought blogs. And of course he's accusing feminists of first world feminism, just completely overlooking the fact that he's a first world atheist. The problems he has with religion are not a patch on the problems people in like Saudi Arabia would have. An atheist in Saudi Arabia is going to tell people they're a Muslim, whether they are sincerely one or not. So that's why I think these guys have stopped really making relevant content, if they ever were making any. They've long since moved away from this, but we're still calling them the 3 biggest atheists on YouTube, despite the fact that they've moved away from that topic very much. So I'd like to see some other channels, possibly some already reasonably well established ones, start to overtake these channels, so we're getting something fresh and new, and also we're getting some new smaller channels coming in. So we're getting new blood and a bit more of a push to some of the already existing channels. I think would be great. I mean, I'd love it if channels like, I think if there were any justice, I mean, channels like Qualia Soup and Theremin Trees, I think they would be, if in an ideal world, they would be the biggest channels on this subject, because they're always very rational. I don't mind if they go over the 10-minute mark, because they're very nicely professionally put together. The sort of things you could show in a school, assuming you got past the kind of, don't talk about religion or politics barrier that would prevent that. But I always find their videos really educational. They're very rewatchable. They stand up to being rewatched. I always find I'm learning loads from watching those, and they're not getting caught up in silly, petty drama or anything like that. They don't seem to be trying to smuggle in any disturbing political agendas, or anything of that sort. So that's perhaps another problem there. I think is to restore the feel of YouTube atheism. We actually need something completely different. We need new content. We need new people making content, and we need possibly, I think, some we need a shuffle around. We need someone new to take over this top 3 position, because I think apart from the fact I don't really like the 3 guys who are occupying the top 3 slots at the moment, they're not really making content that's of any relevance to this subject anymore. And that's one of the reasons I don't like them. Actually, they're very much moved away from what made them what gave them appeal in the first place. To certain people, Pat Condell's never appealed to me at all. So yeah, those are some of my thoughts there. So this is I'm going to post this as a response while we still have the opportunity to. I've got a couple of other ideas for responses that I might be posting pretty soon if I get a chance before the 12th. But yeah, let me know what you think, everybody. Cheers. Goodbye.